Howdy do, y'all. Tables here. Been away for a while. Took a bit of a break after I got some of my stuff done in Calandra, but we're back for 3.20 Forbidden Sanctum. Very excited. Really love the reveal. And in this video, we're going to be doing a rehash on the Poison Carrion Golem Occultist. This is going to be my league starter. It was my league starter last league. And with the buff to Poison, I mean, it really just honestly performed super well. To those who might be saying, what, a Carrion Golem league starter? That doesn't make any sense. There are ways that we get around this, and there are ways to make this work as a league starter. In particular, Abyssal Jewels with chance to poison, the new vendor recipes. It's not as bad as you think it is. Running 2 golems, probably even 3 if you can grab yourself a clay shaper, really brings the build online super early. I was running 2 golems last league, all the way into low reds, where I eventually got my Anima Stone, probably like 2 or 3 days into the league. And it was just a really good and smooth progression. So with that said, we're going to get into this build guide. The footage you're seeing in the background here is all of the Maven invitations that I cleared last league with this build. And I will be posting a link to that video and any other videos relating to Carrion Golem that may or may not have more information in the description below. So we're going to start off with the skill tree. So with the start of the 2020 league, we are in fact losing Malediction out of the Ascendancy. We're losing the Curse effect. Profane Bloom is getting buffed, and Hexproofed enemies is going to move to the brand new notable within Occultist. Now, this tree as a whole is going to stay the same, but whether or not I change it to pick up Malediction or not, I haven't decided what's going to happen there. I'll know more Tuesday, because that is when Local Identity has said on Twitter when he's going to be able to start updating the POB. Now, this is the in-game POB. There is a separate leveling POB, which we will discuss later in this video. And it's very, very cut and dry. We're hitting some defensive, we're hitting health, we're hitting any kind of res that we can get our hands on. And most importantly, notables like Indomitable Army, Grave Intentions, Big Nodes, right? Grave Pack into the big minion wheel over here, as well as Sovereignty, Combat Stamina, bunch of masteries. We take quite a few masteries. Now, some of these masteries are going to change, because now that Arch Nemesis is not a thing anymore, what were extremely strong rares will be a lot easier to deal with. And because of that, minion survivability is going to go up. So some of these nodes we're really not gonna have to take anymore, right? Like, once you get your weapon, you don't really need 1% leech. And so some things are going to be changing around. But even if I didn't change a single thing, this build is ready to go to the end game. Clear Maven, and you've cleared the game. You got everything you wanted to get done. It's time to start your second character. Like I said, we'll go into the leveling here in a little bit in the video. And I want to show you guys the skills. So there's going to be a few changes with the skills. Right, Blasphemy has gotten a nerf. The way I had it set up currently is Temporal Chains is linked to Awaken Blasphemy, and then I just self-cast Despair. I think I'm going to swap this around in 3.20 to do self-cast Despair, and then, to do Blasphemy Despair and then self-cast Temporal Change, because we are going to be getting some extra buff effect from the skill tree. If we can afford it, and that's just going to make Temp Change just a really strong defensive options, like when we need it most. Kind of like, oh shit, there's a bunch of mobs, or oh shit, there's a tanky rare, or some mods that we don't like. I think self-casting Temporal Change is going to give us more value than self-casting Despair. And so that's what I am most likely going to do. And then I am also going to be making a tree with Tri-Curse, and running a dual Blasphemy setup with a single self-cast. But that's after Tuesday once the skill tree gets updated. We're running Ray Spectre, Ray Zombie, Feeding Frenzy, and Meat Shield. Now, you guys might be wondering, why am I running aggression versus defensive? And to my knowledge, I scoured the forum. I've done some research. This was back in 3.18 that I started to theory craft this build. Now, these two will essentially cancel each other out, right? So the specters and the zombies don't actually become aggressive, and they don't also become defensive. But they still get the benefits of being defensive and aggressive, but they aren't actually those things. So I hope that makes sense. That's what I've been able to find out about stacking these two together, which is why I did so. We got Flame Dash, Determination, Defiance Banner, and Molten Shell. This is very, very unlikely to change. And then we have an unset, Convocation. Gotta have that unset. We're rocking Tempest Shield, Flesh Offering, and Desecrate. Flesh Offering could be better suited to be Divergent. I just really never got around to it, where it's it's actually a massive DPS boost. But for now, I'm gonna leave it the way it is. And then once Tuesday hits, I'll start refining some of the gems, so you guys can be fully aware of what you really need to get towards the end of the build. Now, for the meat of the build, we have Carrion Golem, Chance to Poison, Awakened Void Manipulation, Multi-Strike, Minion Damage, and Unbound Elements. You run Predator if you want to instead of Minion Damage early on, if your minions are not quite tanky enough yet. But once you get solidified, once you get all your golems, feel free to switch to Minion Damage. You really shouldn't have any issues whatsoever once you switch, and once you're established. You're going to have so much leech. Minion Damage, the downside of it is pretty much you don't ever have to worry about it. Now, Animate Guardian is going to change this league. Our typical Kingmaker weapon has been upgraded, and it's probably going to be super rare and super, super expensive. Now, this is going to hurt the survivability of the minions overall because they're not going to have Fortify. But as a whole, it really shouldn't matter that much since the rare have gotten nerfed. All the rares, Arch Nemesis is gone. So in lieu of Kingmaker as an early weapon, I would really recommend going Dying Breath. It really synergizes quite nice with our curses, gives us extra damage, and this may be what I stick with just as a whole. With Blasphemy getting nerfed, I think this may come in as at least for occultist builds that run minions. I think this may end up being the best item that I'm looking for, and this thing is super cheap. So that's my recommendation to you. This is probably, this is 100% what I'm going to be running. So just keep that in mind. The AG gear is going to be in the items menu. Meat Shield, Minion Life, this is all set up and ready to go. Gloves is Withering Step, along with Despair, Blasphemy, and Temporal Chains. You don't have to worry about the Nightblade, Elusive, Withering Step stuff. We only Withering Step. That's it. Easy peasy. So this is the gear that I ended 3.19 in. I want to go over the Animate Guardian pieces, right? Just real quick. We have Learcast, Doppelganger, Southbound Gloves with some Fugitive Boots, not off Searing Exile, but the other guy. And his name is escaping me at the moment. But the fact that we're poisoning, these boots allow us to have every one of our minions poisoned. And it's nice. And, anything that is hitting, any enemy that's hitting us, they're dealing 40% reduced critical strike damage, which is never a bad thing. And then Kingmaker, that's going to go by the wayside. It's going to get replaced with the staff that we talked about earlier. And I think that is really the way to go for Guardian. Now, as far as our normal character gear goes, United in Dream, this is your best weapon. Get it as soon as possible. We will not be using the Envy skill as it costs way too much reservation to do so. I fossil crafted this shield, just literally just a single fossil, bound fossil. We nut rolled this, and it's a beautiful thing. I really tried to prioritize minion life as much as humanly possible. Even though AN is nerfed and it's gone, that doesn't mean we can still skimp on minion survivability. It's still very important. So keep that in mind when you're building these characters. Nightmare Bassinet or Helmet, +2 to all minion skill. You can get some life regen in there. That's even better. But for the most part, all these pieces, they're all just health, minion related stuff, and resistances. Right, I bought this because I play trade. So I play SC trade. Spider Silk Robe, definitely probably one of your most expensive items, hands down. More expensive than your United in Dream. It's going to be more expensive than the Kingmaker. This is something that you will get towards the end of your build. Once you start thinking about doing Maven, even though I did Maven without this, you can decide how you want to roll it. And then if you're feeling really spicy, you can double corrupt this in an Alpha Temple and get +2 to socketed minion gems. Unfortunately, I was unlucky and I didn't get that, but it is an option. Dragon Scale Boots, I prefer less movement speed and cannot be chilled. Others may want 30-35% movement speed. I'd leave that up to you guys. But this gear, it really is just, it's wholly gettable. Nothing that I'm showing you here is just out of the ordinary, just really kind of insane. It's all very, very basic stuff. We are running triple eminence, which is good because it is the cheapest one, so that we can get as much attack speed as possible. That's what gets us damage. We attack so fast, we apply so many poisons, it's insane. And that's the gear. I want to move on to DPS and defensive numbers. Now, if we go into configuration, I currently have this set to just like mapping only. And there are some things that are going to need to be changed between mapping versus like doing a pinnacle boss, right? So, if we switch this to a standard pinnacle boss, not Uber, we're not dealing enough damage to do Uber yet. You're gonna want to uncheck Holy Might, right? So Unholy Might is an on kill effect that we have. So we can't be having that, right? And so that immediately, right, just unclicking this, it immediately takes away damage, right? And so it just gives you like a little bit of a better idea of what you're running with. And then you can raise your stacks of withered a little bit higher. I usually keep it around 10 just to be kind of a little bit humble about it. So, you're not running at pinnacle bosses, you're not running 20 million DPS like you are in maps, right? So these are some of the things that you need to think about with this build. And when you import your character into POB, play around with it a little bit. I'll leave a video below that really explains this in detail in a previous upload I did. And just so when you get into the build and you want to see what you're doing, the configuration is going to be very important for you to really visualize this is how my build's performing, right? We got about 42,000 life, really good life regen, absolutely insane leads from United in Dream, and about 13k energy shield. And we attack so fast, we leech so hard. You're never going to get one shot. I don't think I lost a single minion besides the occasional zombie in the end game. Zombies, however, not super thick. We're only looking about 76,000 on Wraith Spectre and only 27,000, and that's with all the minion life that we have in the build. Like, zombies really, really got hit hard with the minion changes in 3.19. So that's why I really, really stress max the all res on your minions, max the chaos res on your minions, max their max life. Get as much max life as possible. You will thank me later, I promise you. Now, let's get into the leveling. We're going to go back here. This is the leveling POB. And this is going to assume that you're going to have a Severed in Sleep. But if you wanted to, you could just go to a Rink-a-Dink Convoking Wand, go to your active skills, change your Carrion Golem to 2. And this is essentially what you're going to be looking at in, say, red maps, right? Probably a little bit less, probably closer to around 900 to a million once you hit low reds, which is very respectable. You're going to be dealing a ton of damage. You're not really going to have any problems clearing it. I know this because I did this. I did this exact setup. I ran with 2 golems all the way until low reds, and I got my Anima Stone and a Clay Shaper, and I was running 4 golems, right? And so you stick 4 golems in there, and suddenly you're at 2.4 million. You're getting into high reds. You're blowing and going. It's beautiful. Now, this skills menu tells you everything you need to get in every single act in the game. This is how you level right here. And then Act 2, you got these. Act 3, you got these. And then up here at the top, this is what you're going to be rocking until you switch to the in-game POB. This is how you're going to roll everything, which is more or less the same. Obviously, Weapon 1 is gone because we're not running an AG. I didn't run my AG till a little bit later. Items, very basic. HP, all any kind of resistances. Our Anima Stone and Harmony setup. There's also a notes section that has notes, tips, any kind of information you're going to need to know. I filled in a lot of this as I leveled the build in 3.18 and 19 and kind of got to a point where I could prove it. So this is going to be fairly invaluable to you guys, especially if you're new to the game and or new to minions. I really recommend giving this a look through. Just take a little bit of time. It'll be worth it. Trust me. As far as the skill tree goes, the skill tree from the League Starter to the end game doesn't change. You might lose. There might be 1 or 2 different points as far as masteries go. But as a whole, you can fully make the switch. I designed it this way for ease of use. And I have every single point that you need to spend by each act. And so you won't ever have to worry, well, what do I need to spend next? Well, it's all there. It's all set up for you. I want to talk a little bit about build-defining uniques. There are going to be 2 uniques that are very build-defining for this minion build. One of those is going to be United in Dream. That gives our minions chaos resistance, damage, 60% chance to poison enemy on hit, and 5% leech against poison enemies. This is non-negotiable. This is what makes the build work. This is why we do 22 million damage. The Covenant, Spider Silk Robe, a build defining unique. This is another reason we do 22 million DPS. And it is absolutely insane. And I am so excited that it didn't get nerfed. So excited. Of course, we have our Eminences, Primordials. These are probably like 2 chaos. Like, these don't really cost anything at all. So by all means, spend the money and try and get Corrupted Blood on one of them. And you're pretty much set there. Anima Stone, it really varies per league. I got mine for about two Divine Orbs last league, early league too. And with the changes to jewels this league, mileage is gonna vary a little bit. And as far as United in Dream goes, Severed in Sleep, I think it cost me about 60 chaos league start. And since there weren't any minion changes and Melee's been buffed this league, United might actually be a fair bit cheaper. This is like very, very off meta, this build. Not very many people league start Carrion. Even fewer play Occultist Carrion. So I don't reckon you'll have a very hard time getting this sword. The robe, however, probably going to cost you about 8 or 9 div, just straight up. So be on the lookout for a good deal. Don't be afraid to haggle a little bit here and there. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, that's the those are the build defining uniques for this build. I theory crafted this back in 3.18, leveled it in 3.19, and went to the moon. This build is hands down the most fun I've ever had in PoE, and it makes it even more sweeter that I theory crafted it myself. And so we had a lot of people use it last league, and I got nothing but positive feedback. And a lot of people even took it to level 100, 40-40 challenges. It's just been an absolute gem, and I'm really excited to share this with you guys for 320. I think it's going to be really, really strong for the new league mechanic. Big minion, they do the DPS, you just move around and not get hit. I think it's perfect. So anyways, if you guys like this video and you think you might want to play this build, or you just like this build in general, do me a favor, drop me a like and a comment if you feel so inclined, maybe even a sub. It really helps me out a lot, puts a big smile on my face. And with that, I will leave you guys. I will see y'all Friday for the launch. And I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. I will talk to you guys very soon. Take care.